Right. Okay, so I've deliberately not commented on the Trump impeachment hearings for a simple reason. I simply don't know enough about the constitutional amendments around impeachment in order to comment in detail about what I think about the legitimacy of the impeachment. I'm being candid about that. I don't feel I know enough about this, and I do find it interesting how many people are commenting on the impeachment. I can't imagine they're all constitutional scholars. So ultimately, it comes down to partisan feeling. Um, my own stance is regarding Trump. I do think he is one of the most controversial incumbents of the White House ever, and I do think that he has said things in the last 3 years and done things that really raise major questions. What's interesting about this impeachment is the basis for it is not any of the litany of things that Trump has been doing over the last 3 years that have got more attention actually as a basis. But what is the basis of this is the idea that Ukraine, not Russia, was behind alleged interference in the 2016 election and that Trump withheld military aid from Ukraine in return for the administration of Volodymyr Zelensky, the new Ukrainian president, to kind of spill dirt on Joe Biden, who, of course, is a domestic political rival of Donald Trump. The process itself is long and complex, and even if it is approved in both chambers, which probably is unlikely because in the other impeachments, I know in the impeachment of Bill Clinton, for example, in 1998, Clinton was cleared by the was it the House or the Senate? I can't remember, but one of the chambers cleared Clinton. And the only other president, of course, was Andrew Johnson back in 1868. So 1868, 1998, 2019, 20, the only impeachment proceedings in American history. Nixon, of course, resigned before he could be impeached. Um, of course, Trump's going to fight to the end. That's Trump's never going to do Nixon and resign because it's, for one thing, it's not exactly the same situation. I felt like commenting on this though because someone posted an opinion piece from CNN, not from Fox, from CNN, in which the commentator opined that it was Adam Schiff, who is the Democrat kind of in charge of the proceedings, rather than Trump, who is aiding Putin. Now, the argument for this is that by pushing ahead with these impeachment proceedings, Democrats like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi are making it look like American democracy is already delegitimized. Schiff, for example, has said that this has to be done now rather than settled at the ballot box this November because Trump is so corrupt that he could already have um, had the 2020 outcome negatively influenced. So the argument is, well, Schiff has just given Putin what he wants by basically saying before the poll has even taken place that it cannot be trusted. That might be a fair argument, but people conveniently forget some of the things that Trump has come out with. Like I say, there are very strong partisan feelings on this, but some things are absolutely irrefutable. It is irrefutable that Donald Trump stood beside Vladimir Putin at the Helsinki summit and denigrated his own security services. Now, I challenge Trump supporters to show a single example of another president, Republican or Democrat, that has done that in modern times, denigrated their own security services in front of a foreign autocrat, hostile foreign autocrat. Just one. And if they could show me that, fair enough. I'll, I will concede that. I can't think of any. Donald Trump, not long ago, called on the Chinese to look into Joe Biden. Again, is there any precedent for this? For an American president to call on a communist state, hostile state, a rival, to look into a domestic opponent. Donald Trump invited back when there was all the speculation after 2016, the Russians to look into Clinton's emails. Maybe they should. I hope they are looking at her emails, is what he said. So it's irrefutable that Trump has had a very cavalier attitude to how foreign adversaries might look to take capital on domestic rivalries. That doesn't mean that Trump is guilty of what he's being charged with in this impeachment proceedings. And the thing is, even if he is found guilty by both houses, by both chambers, I should say, in theory, I don't know much about the constitutional provisions for this, but I do know that one thing that could happen is he could be stripped of his powers of office now, forced from the presidency, but those provisions actually wouldn't prevent him from running again. So, in other words, having to leave office now, but then just running in 10 months from now. So, in theory, Trump, actually, what it comes down to is impeachment might make no difference. And for me, that is one question mark. What is the point of it if it actually makes no difference in terms of Trump's re-election? Looking at opinion polling, it hasn't had a major effect on the polls. The polls as they stand, I mean, of course, they're dicey in themselves because pollsters have been wrong, and many pollsters were left red faced after 2016 results. It could be one or two things. It could be Republicans are looking at the Democrats as just being sore losers. They lost in 2016, and their sole intention is to get Trump out of office. It may come across that way, and certainly the Republican Party has stood behind Trump for the most part on this. But on the other hand, the more information that comes out and the more, I mean, if Trump, for example, refuses to testify himself, that might actually look like, well, what's he hiding? If he is innocent, then why not testify? This is a president whose narcissism, whose ego has really been plain to see in a way that I don't think is comparable to any other president. Now, I'm not a compulsive Trump hater. Okay, there's things Trump has done that I support. So it's not a case of, oh, well, you're just anti-Trump, so you're going to believe anything they say. No, I observe and I judge from what I've seen. And I genuinely believe that Trump is quite a dangerous character. I genuinely believe this is a president who puts his own ego above Western security. This is a president who's denigrated Western allies. You know, he's insulted Western allies whilst kowtowing to foreign dictators. To me, that raises a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Um, I don't trust Trump. I think he probably is. I know there's been a much lambasted, well, lambasted by his supporters, effort by psychiatrists, 500 psychiatrists, to issue a report saying that Trump is unfit for the White House. Now, people might say they're just acting out of partisan basis. As far as I know, they're not members of the Democratic Party. Maybe some of them are, but these are people whose background is in this. And when you have someone who, has access to nuclear codes, I do think Trump has a tendency to sort of do things spontaneously. I mean, one thing about the Soleimani killing, and I think that there is a basis for Trump's actions on that, but I don't like the fact that he did not inform Boris Johnson of what he was doing. Given that we had troops in the region, that seemed disrespectful to us, to the United Kingdom, to not give us advance warning of that strike. Um, so ultimately, people are going to take the views on this. There will be many people who say, "Oh, it's just the Democrats are sore losers. They want to get rid of Trump before the election," and that could play badly because Trump's base could then see him as being victimized, and that could work in his favor. On the other hand, the more that comes out, I think the more. corrupt Trump will appear. I think there's already, outside this whole Ukraine thing, I think there's already an enormous amount of things that Trump has said in the last 3 years that really do put question marks on his credibility as a president. Yes, he got elected in 2016, but I'll just close with one point here. This idea that because there's impeachment proceedings going on, the Democrats are raiding Putin. I guess the logic is, well, they're weakening the president's position, so that's playing into Putin's hands. Um, I would dispute that because impeachment is a legitimate democratic process in many democracies, not just the United States. So if there is credible ground to impeach an official, even the highest official, that, if anything, shows the strength of democracy because it shows that nobody is above scrutiny. Compare that to Russia or particularly China. Look at how sensitive the Chinese Communist Party is. This week a student from an American university, a Chinese student, was jailed in China, criticized the Chinese government online. Look at how sensitive Xi Jinping is. This is a regime that is scared of Winnie the Pooh because they've been mocking analogies with Winnie the Pooh and Xi Jinping. So the fact that Trump is being held to account, um, I don't think that weakens Western democracy. It may be that Schiff's position, saying that the 2020 race has already been corrupted, is a little bit reckless, and I think he should be careful how he says that. But the impeachment itself, I don't think that weakens the concept of Western democracy. I think that shows democracy in action. Is it showing that the most powerful man in the country isn't above scrutiny? Putin and Xi would never have to face that. So I don't think the impeachment process weakens democracy unless it's all concocted, and I don't think it is. That's my gut feeling. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it as it stands. But like I say, this is a long and complex process, and there's many, many angles to look at with it. So I may make another video about this as time goes on.